You're listening to Women in Sports, a weekly conversation with the legends, rising stars, and athletes making history in Minnesota and beyond. This episode brought to you by Franzen Bank and Trust. Welcome to the Women in Sports podcast. I'm Marielle Mose. Over the next few weeks, we'll be sharing some interviews we captured while covering college dance at UDA Nationals in Orlando and Unrivaled Basketball League in Miami. Today, our conversation is with Alex Bazzell. He's a basketball trainer for NBA and WNBA players. He's the president and co-founder of Unrivaled Basketball, a pro women's league. He's also married to Lynx superstar Napheesa Collier. We talk about women's sports, where the Unrivaled League is headed, and his hope for current and future athletes. So tell me about, this is the second year of Unrivaled now. How is it feeling after getting kind of the kinks out of your inaugural season? Like, any lessons learned, or how does the second season feel?
Yeah, I mean, a number of lessons learned. I think this year, you just know what to expect. And you bring back familiarity with, Miami and where we're at and the crew we have. So for me, less hands-on at every single vertical, which is nice because we've been through it. We fully trust the team that's operating. So I feel really great about where we're at. And obviously, my job is to continue to grow and elevate the business. So, we've seen a lot of great metrics in terms of our merch is up 54%, our digital audience and engagement, our digital audience is up 27% this year compared to last year. Engagement rates are up, and then overall revenue is up 55%. And that's, to me, the key metric of how, what are the signs of success for us and where do we want to take it? You have to look at, of course, the holistic picture, but to me, I'm really proud of what we've built in a short amount of time, and it's really a testament to the players and obviously the fans that are engaging with what we're building.
You guys are doing a stop in Philly this season. What's kind of the purpose of that, and what do you hope grows from that? Like, are we going to see maybe do Unrivaled Minnesota one season?
Yeah, I mean, I think, the goal for us is pretty simple. We want to continue to grow the game. And we love Miami, but we want to take this out on the road a little bit more frequently. So this year, Philly just welcomed us with open arms. One of our major investors is Wanda Sykes, who is from Philly. Her and her wife, Alex, really spearheaded that mission with the mayor. So it just became an easy decision for us to be that the first tour stop is in a city that isn't maybe as obvious for us to go to, right? It's not a New York or Golden State with a ton of fans from the WNBA. So we took that initial leap, but the goal for us is to bring these players into new audiences and obviously pre-existing audiences. Philly hasn't hosted a professional women's basketball game in over 20 years. So bringing these players there to the community and hopefully a lot of young athletes who look up to them and aspire to be them, that's where we want to take it. So Minnie obviously is near and dear to us. It's an incredible sports city. Their support not just with the Lynx, but with the Frost and everything that's going on there from a women's sports standpoint is so unique. So I won't say we're going in the immediate, but they are on our short list of cities that we're looking pretty closely at touring very, very shortly.
Oh, good. We love to hear that. Your wife is Napheesa Collier, unfortunately injured, going through some surgeries right now, so she's missing the Unrivaled season. Is she still playing a role administrative-wise behind the scene while she's recovering with Unrivaled right now?
She is. I mean, she's playing even more of an active role this year because she's not playing and practicing every day. So, Napheesa is always trying to figure out a competitive edge to lean into and how she can continue to help even though she's not on the court this year. So, obviously disappointing for her, but, she's 29 and get healthy and, we'll see her next year here in Unrivaled and hopefully be seeing her on the court here shortly in the WNBA.
What do you hope the players that are part of Unrivaled truly get from this? I mean, obviously they're getting a huge salary from it, and that is life-changing. But beyond that, what do you want them to take away from this experience?
I hope that they feel a sense of how we're valuing them, not just as athletes, but as partners. They're our largest majority equity holder group that exists in our entire league, and thankfully the league's valuation has grown, from 35 million when we launched it back in May of 24 now to 340 million just a year and a half later, and they are the major participants in that upside. So I'm proud of that. I think number two is how are they improving during their off season of the WNBA, and how are they carrying that success over into their WNBA careers? Because it all plays a factor into not just how they're performing, how they make money, but the longevity of their careers. So we had 90% of our athletes have a career high in at least one statistical category in the WNBA last year. And I think that speaks to the overall resources and development and what they get from Unrivaled.
Wow, that is quite the stat. As far as the fans that attend these games, what do you hope they get from this experience?
Well, we built this because, for years and decades of the WNBA's existence, you would have a blackout period during the winter, which is actually the traditional basketball season for most leagues. And you get players going overseas and being out of market and away from families, but they're also out of touch with the fans. So being able to bring this to the diehard fan base that we have and the WNBA has, it fills a void in the calendar for them too, because they're the engine why these leagues work and why these leagues are successful. So I'm hoping that we're giving more access with our athletes. What's so unique with us is every single player is in one location. So the ability to create really interesting, highly engaged content is because we have these different storylines we can pull from. But we listen to our fans. We read the comments. We listen to, what their pain points are, what they love about us are, and we try to correct what maybe they're feeling, and then obviously double down on the things that they really are enjoying. So it's a huge component in our decision making on a daily basis.
What parts of Unrivaled are maybe not so obvious, but contributing to the growth of women's sports? I think it's so cool when even just when you walk in, it's like Sephora is the biggest sponsor, and it's on all the referee jerseys, and that's a brand that a lot of women use. Yeah. So what are other ways besides that you think that this league grows the game?
Yeah, I think it's just the perception of women athletes and who they are, both through compensation. We spend a lot of time talking with former athletes of what do you think has held back the growth of now where it's delivering today is, well, these players are having real financial success, and young girls get to see that, as opposed to in the past, there was this aura of these players don't make money. So I think that flipping that narrative, and it leads to inspiration for the next generation and audience, and it factors into what kind of support the league has holistically in the narrative that drives that. And it's why now you have people like Sephora who are coming in to amplify that, and other blue chip partners like Samsung Galaxy. So it's all tied together because it matters in the end. I think secondly to that, who our players are off the court, the fashion, the walkway tunnel, the Sephora walkway, that leads into these players, like to dress up, they like to be fashionable, they're culturally setting the standard for not just athletes but women. And you're seeing a lot of mothers too who are in our league. So I think they're so relatable as women that it's not just a sports audience that is interested, it's women who are interested in seeing other women have success, which is really fun.
Very fun and well said. I think that's so true. Like, it goes beyond what happens on the court. An elephant in the room this season is the fact that the CBA negotiations are still going on. Your wife leading the charge in that fight. What is this experience at Unrivaled? Do these players get a perspective shift at all, or learn something? I mean, I don't know what you can say to that, but just how are they benefiting from this league to then take to the table when it comes to negotiations? Yeah,
I'd say that they're far more educated maybe because they're on the insides of understanding the dynamics of building a league. Obviously, there's not one-to-one scenarios with what we're doing in the WNBA. But I think they see holistically what goes into every decision that we make, and we really pride ourselves in listening to feedback from the players from year one to year two and making those improvements. We've eliminated back-to-back games this year by adding 2 teams. So just the workload that they have, more training room space, more staffing for the recovery. So I'd like to say we spoil them, but it's for good reason. They're the best athletes in the world. So I think that's certainly played a dynamic into the thinking of as they take it into CBA, but I think inevitably both sides want the same thing. They want to see basketball played, they want to see it played at the highest level. So I'm confident that hopefully a deal is done quickly so that everyone can get back to continue to accelerate the league, but certainly both sides are chipping away at it, and we'll see how it plays out. But I'd say that's probably the most immediate impact it's made. And what's interesting for me is we're not in a position where we're competitive with the WNBA. Like, we see ourselves as very complementary. But certainly it's played a factor into those conversations. But I think as soon as those get done, then it's back to focusing on the overall ecosystem and how we're playing a positive role in that.
And I want to wrap up with, what's the future of Unrivaled look like in your mind? Where do you see this league 5 years from now?
It's a great question, because if you would have asked me that a year ago, I maybe would have given a different answer, because we've just accelerated our timeline. So what I've learned to do is maybe not put any guardrails of where I think we're going to be in 5 years. But I think, our goal is pretty simple. We want to continue to grow the sport, and we want to continue to grow our business for our shareholders, for the athletes, for the fans. And what that means is putting out the best possible competition with the best players in the world. And I believe we're always going to be a cornerstone in that market, and hopefully continue to serve, the fans who are obviously showing us their interest in their buying as well. So that's, our thesis won't change. It's just how we get there. It may evolve, as it always does, but we're really confident in what we built so far, and now we got to continue to serve the greater responsibility of growing this game.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Alex.
Of course.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Women in Sports, a weekly conversation with your favorite female athletes. Find us wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you next week.